Welcome to The Explainer. You know, if you've ever had to file an insurance claim, you probably know that sinking feeling all too well, right? You've had an accident. You do exactly what you're supposed to do, you send in all the info, and then you hit the wall of silence. You wait, and you wait some more. Now, you might be thinking it's all just complicated paperwork or some kind of corporate red tape. But the real bottleneck, the real reason for the delay, is often something you're carrying around in your pocket every single day. Yep, you heard that right. A photo. The key to all those frustrating delays, the endless back and forth emails, and even some major industry-wide fraud, it all starts with the simple act of snapping a picture. But as we're about to find out, there is absolutely nothing simple about that simple photo.
So to really get this, let's just imagine a guy named Marcus. He's just had a little fender bender. Nothing too serious. He's a bit shaken up, and he just wants to get his car back on the road. So he does what the insurance company asks. He pulls out his phone and takes a few pictures. And right there, that's the exact moment the chaos begins.
Think about what happens next. Marcus emails his photos. A little later, the body shop texts a totally different set of pictures to the adjuster. Then, a field inspector might come out and upload a whole other batch to some shared drive. All of these photos are flooding in, completely separated from each other, with no context. And the poor adjuster on the other end is left trying to solve a puzzle. Was this picture even taken on the right day? Is this the right car? Or, hey, was this dent already there from last year? This mess isn't just an inconvenience. It's a huge, gaping vulnerability in the whole system. And this is where it gets bigger. This isn't just about Marcus's bad day. This whole photo chaos thing is a massive, multi-billion-dollar headache for the entire insurance industry. I mean, when your evidence is disorganized and you can't really verify it, you're creating massive slowdowns and basically rolling out the red carpet for fraud.
And just how bad is it? Get ready for this number. A full 10%. 1 in every 10 of all property and casualty claims involve some kind of photo fraud. Just think about that for a second. When you can't trust a photo, well, it's pretty easy to send in a picture of an old dent or damage from a different car or even a digitally altered image. It becomes way too easy to cheat the system. And guess who ends up paying for that? All of us.
And it's not just the fraud. It's the sheer inefficiency of it all. An industry study found that claims with messy, unverified photos take 40% more time to process. 40%! That's almost half again as long that adjusters have to spend playing detective, hunting down information, instead of just paying the claim. And for honest customers like you and me, that just means longer waits, way more frustration, and a real breakdown in trust.
This quote here, it really just hits the nail on the head. It all comes down to metadata integrity. I know, it sounds super techy, but it's actually pretty simple. Metadata is like the photo's digital fingerprint. It's the hidden data that proves exactly when and where a photo was taken. And without that solid fingerprint, a photo isn't really evidence. It's just a picture. It's that gap that lets people get away with fraud.
Okay, so the problem is pretty clear, right? We've got a real crisis of trust when it comes to digital evidence. But what if we could fix it? What if technology could step in and actually restore that trust, turning every photo from a source of chaos into a source of absolute truth? Well, this is where the story takes a turn for the better. I mean, the difference is like night and day. We're talking about moving away from the old way, this chaotic, slow, easy-to-fake process, and stepping into a completely new way of doing things. A system where every single photo is verifiable, perfectly organized, totally tamper-proof, and ready for action the second it's taken. And the technology that's making this happen is an app called CamsureApp. It was literally built from the ground up to solve this exact problem. The whole idea is to create a secure, closed-loop system that basically turns any regular smartphone into a professional tool for capturing evidence you can actually trust. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does it really work? How can an app make a photo tamper-proof? Well, it's not magic, but it is pretty clever. It all boils down to 3 core ideas that work together perfectly. So first up is what they call intelligent capture. The app takes control of the camera so it can embed all that verifiable data right into the photo the instant you press the button. Then, and this part is brilliant, it does automated organization. So every photo is automatically filed into the correct claim folder. No more dragging and dropping. And finally, there's the integrated workflow. The evidence just flows right into the system, ready for an adjuster to review it immediately. And the secret sauce behind all of this is that metadata we talked about, that digital fingerprint. The app captures and locks the exact time, the GPS location, and the claim number into the image file itself. This stuff isn't just sitting next to the photo where it can be changed, it's baked right in. It becomes part of the photo. And that's what makes it verifiable, that's what makes it tamper-proof, and that's what creates trust. So what happens when you create that trust? What's the real-world impact? Well, it's pretty transformative. When every single photo is a piece of solid, reliable evidence, the entire claims process just works better. It's a huge win for the insurance companies, and honestly, an even bigger win for their customers. So what kind of results are we talking about? How about this for a start? A 70% reduction in the time it takes to actually document the claim. 70%! For adjusters, customers, body shop folks, that means no more staying late to sort photos, no more confusion. You just take the pictures you need on the spot and you're done. And that initial time saving, it creates this massive ripple effect. The total time to get a claim processed, from that very first photo all the way to the final payout, gets cut in half, 50%. So a process that used to drag on for weeks can now be wrapped up in just a few days. For someone who's just trying to get their car fixed and get their life back to normal, that is a game changer. And now for the final punchline. Remember that 10% fraud problem we talked about earlier? Well, with tamper-proof photos, fraudulent submissions drop by 40%. Because hey, when would-be scammers know the evidence is locked with a time and location stamp that can't be faked, it suddenly becomes a whole lot harder to cheat the system. So the bottom line here is really clear. This isn't just about some cool new app. It's about changing the way the business works. It's a win-win-win. Insurers save a ton of money on fraud and just run more efficiently. Customers get their claims paid faster with less hassle, which makes them way happier. And in a really competitive industry, having a claims process that's just flat out better than everyone else's, that's a huge advantage. And that kind of brings us to one last big question. We've just seen how verifiable photos can totally fix the insurance claims process. But let's zoom out for a second. What if this same idea was applied everywhere? What if every important digital image, from a legal contract to a photo you see on the news, had its own proof of origin baked right in? It's a really powerful thought, and it could completely reshape our trust in the entire digital world. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.